just so we don't have the empty gap. Let me. Okay. My computer getting stuck on the back.
Hello.
Sorry, my computer got stuck. Let me know when you're ready.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final presentations for Fabricademy 25-26, the second day. We have a full week seeing different participants. Oops. Projects. Today, as a jury, we have Professor Becky Early. We are very honored to have her reviewing. She was already reviewing on the midterm, so it is quite a follow-up as well. Becky has been for more than 30 years. He has been seeking creative ways to reimagine our material world using discarded objects, clothing. She has done tons of research and various podcasts and contributed to textile circularity in the sector, both in the UK and Europe and overseas. So we will have each presentation will have a timer. Please look at the time that Claudia will be showing, and then we will have feedback from Becky. We also have shared Excel where each participant and each instructor, they can also add their comments for their peers. We have added this, and let's start. We will start with Alison. Alison, good morning. What time is it, and where are you now?
It is 6 a.m. and I'm in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, so early morning. Let's start with you. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Great. I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see my Canva page? Great. Great. I'm going to start with my video. So. Sorry, one moment. Can you see my presentation now? Great. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. My name is Allison Hurrier, and I am a designer, an educator, and a socially engaged artist based in Portland, Oregon, in the United States. Actually, my practice largely over the decades has been in costume design for the entertainment industry, lots of live performance, lots of film. And being in that space has really kind of taught me to appreciate sort of the handcrafted value sort of the handcrafted elements of garment making. And so I've used this opportunity with Fabricademy, with all the skills that I've learned, to sort of pivot from that just a little bit, expand my practice, and start to think about like how can I use these skills that I bring from my practice to thinking about how we can create garments more sustainably. So a lot of times when we're talking about sustainable fashion, I think we tend to focus on the waste, and for good reason. It is abundant, and we'll see big piles of landfill of clothing and things like that. Those kinds of images, I think, oftentimes can be a little bit overwhelming, especially for individual consumers and thinking about like how do I sort of contribute to making this not a problem anymore? And so sort of my proposal for this is what if we reframe that question and think about what makes a garment worth keeping as opposed to how do we keep it out of the landfill? And so, in having lots of conversations around this topic with students over the years, the answers tend to fall in these three categories in terms of like what makes a garment worth keeping. And they tend to sort of focus around fit. Maybe a garment doesn't fit anymore, or it doesn't fit the way that they want it to fit. Maybe it was never designed for their body in the first place. Variation, garments that sort of, are timeless and or sort of have the ability to go with lots of outfits and sort of keep up with the times. Those are sort of another reason why things oftentimes get disposed of. And like the garments that are kept are the things that really are sort of providing that for folks. And then also a sense of connection that people actually either have memories attached with the garment or that they feel sort of connected to that particular garment. And so I'm really interested with this project in thinking about like how do we start to think about modular strategies for addressing some of these things that these sort of needs, and also thinking about why people might want to keep their clothes. And so there's kind of three segments to what I've been working on over the past three months. The first is sort of size adjustable patterns and how we can kind of address that fit issue with creating things that can grow and shrink and adapt to the body over time. Sustainable variation, so how can we start to think about bioplastics and biomaterials as a way of kind of creating sort of variety, variation, allowing sort of you to adapt garments for different kinds of outfits and different occasions. And then also socially engaged production. So how can we start to become instigators in the making of our own wardrobes as opposed to outsourcing that to the fashion industry? So for this first part with sort of thinking about size adjustable clothes, the goal for the pattern that I was making was how can we create sort of a garment that actually fit, like one garment that fits two very sort of different bodies. And so I'm very fortunate, shout out to my sister-in-law and my 9-year-old niece, Avalon, for being my fit models for this project. Kim is about 5'8", Avalon is 4'11", and so thinking about sort of how could you actually build something that would adapt to both of their bodies. And so the sort of strategy behind the actual patterning is that it's essentially a modular panels that have laser cut holes that allow you to shrink and adapt, like shrink and expand patterns in different ways. And that's all sort of held together with this snap tape system in which you can kind of quickly and easily sort of reshape and resize things to fit the body. All of the panels that are involved are, I developed it as a zero waste pattern. So it's essentially these rectangular patterns that have laser cut holes with them. These are the things, like the holes are the things that allow they're all sort of set off of 1-inch spacing, and they allow for the garment to be expanded and shrunk. And then these are just some decorative closures that I also developed in terms of thinking about the different ways that you could actually think about just the snaps themselves and how those can actually add variety as well. So these all were 3D printed and laser cut. And so also just very interested in this kind of idea of how can we start to manufacture these things in our own houses. And so those are just some of the things that were happening with just the pattern elements of this. The second sort of major component was the variation and just the using biomaterials to create essentially these interchangeable appliques. And so that you can have sort of one blouse, but adapt it and create sort of infinite variation in the things that you're applying onto it. And so all of the modules were created using a biogelatin recipe that I adapted from presentations earlier in the term. Really kind of was able over the course of the last couple of weeks to kind of perfect this process and this recipe that I could create lots of different colors and lots of different options for people to wear and create these modules. And this is just the process for that. These were then laser cut. So, and I really just kind of stuck with one module design because I was really interested in like how much variety you could get just out of a like essentially a hexagon module and a square module. And then also just the like and so the single module and then the variety of color. How can you kind of start to think about just using those kinds of simple ways of ideating? And so these were some of the variations that we created together during our sort of crafternoon photo session. You can see you can do very simple things with just the switching out the decorative buttons. You can do sort of, if you want more sort of bling, you can do, just add sort of the reflective modules, but they have kind of a almost like a glass tile effect when they're starting to be put together onto the decorative panel on the front of the blouse. And so, yeah, the last sort of component that I want to make sure that I get to is just this kind of idea of how can we also start to produce these things ourselves. And I think that that's the other sort of thing that I'm really interested in with thinking about sort of modular strategies is creating agency through shared experience. So I think, I learned how to sew and craft and things like that from my mom when I was a kid. And that knowledge essentially has made it so that I haven't really had to rely on the fashion system for what I wear and my wardrobe. And so, but I think that especially in the United States, we don't have fabric stores anymore. This knowledge is starting to go away, and fast fashion has really made these kinds of skills in many ways less valuable. Um, these are I think things that like it's this is starting to happen because this kind of idea of being able to make your own things is feeling really inaccessible. So I think one of the big things about this particular project is how can we start to think about modular systems as being an accessible way for people to start making their clothes again, to start sort of adapting their clothes again, giving them agency over their wardrobe, even if they don't have a sewing machine or if they don't have that knowledge and that skill set. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been working on. And yeah, that's, wanting to leave on this kind of note of like, this is sort of a proposal for doing something different. Thank you.
That's great. Shall I jump in and start to give some comments? Is that okay? Okay, brilliant. Alison, stunning presentation, stunning project. Huge congratulations. It's really developed to a lovely prototype. I could do a podcast interview with you. There's so many questions I want to ask you. Let's start with the overall concept, because of course it reminds me a little bit of cloth kits. Remember cloth kits, sort of 1970s. Okay, great. Well, then I can give you a case study to do if you're going to develop this more and go into sort of, a bit more of a business proposal with it. Have a look at some attempts at this in the past. I think yours is obviously different because of the potential to not have a sewing machine and the use of biomaterials and the adaptability, so many things that differentiate it and make it a future craft clothing concept. But it would be very interesting to just do a bit of research on what's happened in the past, because my concern is always actually that people aren't as able to do this kind of thing as we hope. Like, we're the crafty ones, we get excited about it. So what do you think, how likely are people to be able to kind of leave their phones and the high street and actually do things for themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I do think that like, we were able to kind of do some of these things together in like a short period of time, just in an afternoon. So I do think it like, especially just, there's a little bit of like adapting that I need to do with various like elements of it. But I think that what was telling to me is how excited my 9-year-old niece got about it. And she's in a generation of screens right now, and this is all that she wanted to do the entire afternoon. She could have just kept doing it for like hours, right? And so, in fact, like, yeah, had to go, you know. So I think that there's especially potential, especially for, I think, a population where we don't have that kind of tactile sort of experience anymore, and that actually is very novel right now in a lot of ways. So I think there is potential, but I hear what you're saying about like, is it truly just accessible in those kinds of ways? And so I think almost kind of the IKEA manuals that go with these things become very, very important. So
Yeah. And indeed, your video making skills, which are great. I love how simple and clear, and you probably don't think of yourself in that way at all, but actually it's really lovely to just use sort of simple, sort of animated photographs with text to explain to people how they can do this. So there's a lovely sort of couple of pieces of work to do there to sort of grow it beyond this moment. A couple more things, like, how would this be at the end of life? Are those pieces recyclable in their own right? I know they're detachable. So is the garment able to go somewhere, and then the biogelatin able to go somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was another important sort of aspect for me, is this kind of design for disassembly. So the fabric itself was a cotton sateen that was really tightly woven, so it handled the laser cutting really, really well. The thing that I think, but I'm excited, hopefully, like at the Dublin boot camp, we'll get to kind of know a little bit more about 3D printing some of the biomaterials. But I think that that's kind of the only element right now that feels to me like the thing that is not sort of fully sort of biodegradable and sustainable, because everything else can be kind of taken apart and put, and sort of either disposed of. Or the other thing about the panels is that they can be swapped out too if they wear away. So it's like there's, or if they get sort of damaged and things like that. So it's like you're not trashing the entire garment. You
Yeah.
are. So those
So
are those are a couple of things. I don't know. I have some of the biogelatin planted in my yard to see how long it takes to
biodegrade safely and healthily,
Yes.
and in a way that benefits the soil. That's got to be part of your
That's
brief
the
too.
next step too, yeah.
Exactly. This is going to be lots of next steps. Fraying.
That is an issue. I need to do a little bit more research around the actual like natural fibers that I tested silk, I tested cotton, things like that. Obviously polyesters are going to be very better for not fraying.
For not fraying,
but
but
that
you
might
don't,
be a
yeah.
possibility too for like thinking about repurposed waste. Like, and so that's actually another direction that I'm kind of wanting to go, is to like actually start to source the material itself and the panels from existing things. So
Yeah. I've got more questions, but how about the rest of the jury panel? Are there things you want to come in with? I can see Cecilia's itching to say something. And time is up.
No, we're also leaving a lot of suggestions and comments in the spreadsheet, so you'll also find a lot there. On 2 feet, what I was suggesting in the comments is, I really love it, Alison. I think you made a tremendous development in these months, and it's so nice to see all these Fabricademy elements coming in there together. And yet it's entirely yours, and then it's for 9 years old, and I'm like, what happens when you're a teenager? So there's a lot of opportunities there, but I also think it would be great to have some kind of maybe also online place where they can exchange what they made with it, because I think like the next thing is like, okay, I want to see who is making what. Like, can we swap pieces? They're all modular, can I buy 30 yellows and then really I want 10 pinks from you, and then we start. It could be almost a whole like marketplace thing behind it.
And I think, I just want to say one more thing. Because of that potential, because the very nature of what you've got is full of potential, what would actually be really useful is a commission and an applied product. So if you suddenly had a 15-year-old uniform of, a very specific design brief for a very specific client and wearer type, lots of those decisions would change and it would start to sort of look quite different. And that would be really exciting.
So time is up. Regarding the platform, I would like to tell the audience that there is already a platform. It's called oscircularfashion.com, and it can be used for this reason: digitalization of patterns, sharing patterns, downloading, tweaking, and customizing. And we can continue with Annabelle from Brussels.
Hello, everyone. Hello everyone. I'm very happy to share my personal project from Fabricademy 2026 with you. Imagine a world where every thread, every material, and every story intertwines to create something new. This is rhizome. Rhizome, it's a metaphor for the invisible connections that link heritage, savoir-faire, geography, people, infrastructures, and so on. It's about interconnection, like the stitches of a knit. Who am I? Have you ever excuse me, I have to stop because I'm not sure you are, the screen is, it's okay. So I have to make it again. Hello everyone. I'm very happy to share my personal project from Fabricademy 2026 with you. Imagine a world where every thread, every material.
Annabelle,
We have to swap now because the slides are not passing through.
is this the video or the slides?
So it's the slides, but she made a video. She pre-recorded her presentation.
And the video is in the shared folder?
Ah, did you put it?
No, it's a keynote. So the voice is on the keynote.
Okay. It is not
It's
the
a
video that
Zoom.
is on the...
Last try. If not, I'm going to pass the video first. Let me see. Attends, faut que je que ça. On va faire screenshot complet. Ok, on va faire ça. Je fais ça. Partager tout l'écran avec l'audio.
Oui, c'est mieux tout l'écran. Oui.
Ouais.
Oui, c'est mieux comme ça. Oui.
This is rhizome. Rhizome, it's a metaphor for the invisible connections that link heritage, savoir-faire, geography, people, infrastructures, and so on. It's about interconnection, like the stitches of a knit. Who am I? As someone who has lived in multiple places, I have always asked myself questions about identity and territory. Have you ever felt disconnected from a place or wondered how you fit into the story of a territory? That's where my journey begins. Today, I invite you to explore how the concept of rhizome comes to life in my work. Let's explore my current home, Brussels, and specifically the vibrant community at Green Fabric. When I first arrived, I was struck by how this space brought together technology, craftsmanship, resources, and community. It's more than just a workspace. It's a third place that connects the textile and Fab Lab communities. It's where ideas, skills, and material intersect to create something greater than the sum of its parts. I gathered resources from the territory, photos, maps and geographic data, drawings and stories, textile resources, and waste. To blend these resources into something interiorized, I use many green fabrics tools, like the Knitterate, a digital knitting machine. I aim to create connections between people and their territory through these creations. In my work with maps, I explored dethering and transformed urban data into textiles, using the color of the threads to tell the story of the territory. This is a result of 4 samples. I took photos of the area and transformed them into jacquard knits with only 4 colors. I dye knitted yarns of different materials to see how to use local natural dyes in knitting. This is a result of 4 samples. I invite people, inhabitants, workers, visitors to do what the territory means to them, and then I turn their drawings into knits. Next time I come to you to connect your territories to your resources. Thank you for joining me. Now, let you discover the video of the journée.
Wow, wow. And I got nobody, I don't know about that, but you know how we do right here. Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. And I got nobody, I don't know about that, but you know how we do right here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Better let me say tonight. I done fucked up, brothers got me hacked up. Baby, you're a lucky duck, she got a lot of matches. Baby girl is hacked up, baby, you gon' keep it in a peanut. We don't trust them. I'm a motherfucking muck queen, so don't know one thing about me. Oh, I got my boots, I'm a motherfucking ball.
Merci.
Ready, go! Just
You're gonna have to scooch for somebody else to come up. Okay, remember, you have to use your other hand and your feet to climb.
Allez, à ta santé.
Wow, wow. And I got nobody, I don't know about that. But you know how we do right here. Yeah, 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 yeah. Better let me say tonight. I done fucked up, brothers got me hacked up. Baby, you're a lucky duck, she got a lot of matches. Baby girl is hacked up, baby, you gon' keep it in a peanut. We don't trust them. I'm a motherfucking mud point lean, so don't know one thing about me. Know I got my boots, I'm a motherfucking baller. I won't leave with you, I'm gonna pull off on that shorty, she just ran my finger. I'ma work with that, I'ma stud the beat, bitch, I'm starting to talk to you, can't. I don't get no fuck, I don't play bigger, fuck with some beach. I cut a baby with your dick, and I'm quick to bust a beach bigger. What the fuck you just said, bitch, you just won't ball with that. I'm a bad, I'ma whip the beach. If I crash, how you gonna have to call the law for me? Send them blitz out, they ain't gon' come back till they down. So roll his ass up on that boy, we gon' down some. I'm a yellow dreamer, mud point lean, so don't know one thing about me. Know I got my boots, I'm a yellow dreamer baller. I won't leave with you, I'ma pull off on that shorty, she just ran my finger.
Tout le monde applaudit.
Voilà.
That's wonderful. Annabelle, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Fantastic. I love this project so much. You know what you've managed to do is capture a really special idea about a special place, your journey for a start, you know, that beginning of your presentation when you talk about the challenge that lies ahead for you and what you've got to do and how you've got to tame the knitting machine. You know, you story tell beautifully and take us through, you know, a connection to really special places. So actually the textile sort of facility that you're telling us a story about, it starts there. And I love you all to tell stories about the textile spaces where you're working and where you're meeting people and learning and sharing work, because we all know the world needs more spaces like this. And so when I see this part of the presentation, all of your presentations, I think it's really great. We've got to get that more of this messaging out there. But, you know, your samples are beautiful. So you're telling special stories about things that are special to people in a particular place and using the resources that are waste and that are sort of in abundant in that particular place. And all together, it really comes together into a really lovely, lovely project. And what I get this really strong impression that you're now ready as an artist to go and do this work, you know, in location, site specific, commissioned, and to bring the beauty of textiles and the world and stories that matter to people back to that place. And it's a great package overall that you've managed to come up with. So congratulations.
Thank you, Betty. I'm very, very comment on dit, vraiment pressée. I'm very hurried to go further, and I want to discover other techniques and fabric, on thread, on spaces, on people, etc. Yeah.
Yeah, every region has its
Yeah,
own
everywhere.
personality. Of course, every single person, every single region. And so it's
Yeah.
wonderful. You can get out there. You've got to get this out there. Meet people, take your work and show it to as many people as you can, and get some commissions and some residencies, and because it's wonderful. But what I really like about your project is the beauty of the samples. You've managed to translate other people's drawings into finished pieces that are truly aesthetically appealing. So
I worked on it on games, on other software to try to convert them and respect the drawing and make them more happier and connected to the area with the colors and with the pattern of the small dots, small stitches.
and you've worked, I can see just how much work has gone into it. It's beautiful. And of course, because you've worked with people and a place and their stories and their feelings, what's also really important in whatever you do next is in the packaging, in the presentation, is to give that feedback space for them too, isn't it? So I'm dying to know how the person who drew the fox and the ferret or whatever the animal, what do they think, of this finished work? And the people that were concerned about the noise or who loved the old tree, because you've probably moved people and changed them through this project and through bringing them in. And so actually that's really important to share with us too, isn't it?
Yes, I couldn't meet them before this meeting, but I wanted to record their impression, but I couldn't have it. But I will have them. I will speak to them and they will see the complete fresco.
Yes.
And I'm sure I will have more drawings to transform in Jacquard. So that's nice.
Brilliant. Congratulations. Cecilia or others on the jury, any comments?
Cecilia,
you're on mute. That's it.
Anastasia wanted to say something.
Well, I'm very excited to see where your next implementation will be, knowing that you need a community textile lab and a digital knitting machine. If you would like to continue with the project, you will have activity for the next 10 years for sure.
I hope so. So yes, I'm very excited to go further. So thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. Fantastic work, Annabelle, really. Next, we have Mary, trying to stick to the time. Many things we want to tell you all, but...
Thank you so much. So I'll have an assistant from Vico to share my...
Perfect.
Okay, I would like to introduce myself. I am Mary Nyamanya, and I would like to share the story of my Fabricademy journey, which initially started as a job by the Toyota, but it became a process of discovery in many levels, meeting new people and experimenting on things that I've never done before. My project was about microfactory production system, specifically on biomaterials, and my focus area was sisal. And I would like this microfactory production system to be centered on Fab Lab, to be able to become larger and to boost the Kisumu economy and community. And also I would like it to allow scalable production of dyed woven sisal textile. My goal was to develop and validate a Fab Lab-centered microfactory concept, which was on sustainable sisal textile produced in Kenya and made in Kenya, and to support import substitution and circular manufacturing. I was also to develop and produce solution locally using the Kenyan natural resources, and also to recycle waste. And I would also like to meet everyday Kenyan needs affordably, to create jobs and to strengthen local industries, so that we can reduce reliance on importation. My focus is to create jobs and skills. Yeah, so working with Toyota, okay, Rico, just go back to the previous slide, please. Yeah, I want to create jobs and skills. I want to bring income to farmers, sisal farmers. I want SMEs growth through the end products of sisal, and also to produce products that are affordable in the market and entire community impact. Yeah, next. Yeah, my task as a job at Toyota, I was to investigate locally available natural materials that can be fabricated into a functional and durable vehicle seat fabric. This was a multinational collaboration project that was previously designed to manufacture a next generation vehicle seat in Kenya with Kenyan natural materials. Next. So I would like first to talk about the fablabable kinetic seat. It is a seat that adapts to the natural body movement, and it comes with a lot of advantages, such as helping in reducing back pain while driving, and it's designed in rough terrains, and also to help people with mobility issues. Yeah, so previously it was made using synthetic belts, and now I'm converting it into natural materials, sisal being one of the materials. And the reason as to why I want to use sisal next, it's because it's indigenous and widely available in Kenya. It's one of the major natural fiber crop. It can grow in all environment, arid, semi-arid, with low water input. The fiber as well, it's renewable, it can be biodegradable and environmentally friendly. It has higher tensile strength compared to most local natural fibers. And also I will want to revive the Kisumu sisal production, because past they had a sisal production company and it closed down. So this is my major goal. Next. So I started off with collaboration with stakeholders, sisal farmers. So we had to harvest the sisal plant from farm, and then we use sisal decorticating machines to extract the fiber. And then we wash it, we sun dry it, and then we brush. Brushing, it will help to preserve the quality and also to align the fibers together. After that, I had to do alkali treatment using sodium hydroxide, which I'll talk about it. And also we shade dry it to preserve quality. And now it's ready to make products that you will want out of the fiber. Yeah, so my experimentation throughout the 3 months from January was pre-treatment of the sisal, where I was soaking it in sodium hydroxide. These solutions in mild sodium hydroxide. So I use it in mild because when you put more of the sodium hydroxide, it will denature fibers, making it weaker. So it has helped it to be stronger. The fibers are much stronger, and also it has improved durability. And also the chemicals ensures that the fibers takes up natural dyes easily. After that, I was removing the hemicellulose and lignin just to ensure the fibers come out nicely, and then rinsing it in water to neutralize the pH from the chemical, and then shade drying also just to preserve the quality. And then I tried out with hibiscus flowers to dye it, and you can see the results that the sisal took the color pretty well, and yeah, you can't tell whether it's sisal or yeah, it's just a nice material. Yeah. For the weaving part, I had to start with the rope making. So I first tried the traditional way, whereby I used the skilled people to do handmade. Even though this is time consuming, you can make only small quantity of the rope because they do it manually. And also, even though the ropes come out strong, it comes in inconsistent sizes, and I wanted a controlled measure on the size. So in the process, I had to make a tool, a twine braiding tool. This machine hooks in with the help of a drill, and also it can be able to achieve smaller diameter twine, whereby you take a small pinch of fiber, you connect them together to get a larger strands. And also to make an entire rope, you connect 3 strands together, and you go in a clockwise or anti-clockwise direction when making the rope. So from my previous experiments with the weavers, I wasn't able to get what I wanted. So I had to collaborate with the community, especially there's this family based in Siaya who was specializing in sisal rope making. So I explained to them my concept of the sisal belt that I wanted, the 50 mm to 40 mm, 50 to 5 mm thickness. And she just agreed to make a trial, and the results was amazing, and it was of a higher quality than my previous attempts. This is how I want to collaborate with community to come up with more sisal belts. Next. We can see next. Yeah, so from the belt I had, because the sisal belt is for the car seat, so I had to test the tensile strength and elasticity. So a single belt of sisal could bear more than 55 kgs. This was me just experimenting on it. I was sitting on it, and I weigh above 55 kgs. And also the elasticity was not more than 3 centimeters. 3 centimeters, yeah, that is 3%. Meaning that sisal has low elasticity. It cannot stretch beyond, yeah, when you sit on it. And this is just a single belt. So when you combine more belts, I think it will support more body weight. So to install it into the previous seat, the fabricable kinetic seat, so I had to insert them into the slots of the frame, and then I did tensioning before securing the belt to the frame, and then I had to weave the belt to make it aesthetically pleasing to support surface. Yeah. That was my assembly. Yeah, so you can see from the previous image that is synthetic belts, the normal car seat belt, and my sisal belt. Yeah, so my sisal belt is environmentally and economically feasible. Yeah, next. So beyond this job that I was tasked with Toyota, I saw a potential into value addition of the sisal. Could sisal, my microfactory, be able to become more effective? Will it be able to, can I be able to make it a soft touch like a cloth or in fashion? And so my ideas or my inspirations are to come up with this cloth design wearable. Next, Rico. Yeah, so this is my next potential task, to try out different weaving, different experimentation with the sisal. And I hope to achieve my goal of microfactory production system, because it will not be centered only the production of belts, but can it produce more products like clothing, basketry? I know basketry is done in Kenya, but I want my products to be of a higher end values. Can I be able to export them to other nations? Yeah, and bring back economic impact to my community. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Great, Mary, thank you so much. That was a fascinating presentation. And there were so many parts of it that I thought were worth sort of mentioning. I really think that your concept to have a factory working in the middle of a region to use this really important, valuable, local, regenerative material in new ways is a fantastic concept for you to work on over the next couple of decades, probably. I think it's got great potential. I actually really like your use of AI there to show us what fashion might look like as well, because it's really important for people to understand what the vision is and what could be done. And with more technology and more sort of experimentation, I'm sure that you'll be able to get the sisal to be used in lots of different ways, lots of different feels and finishes and colors, as well as techniques. I think your weaver family part of the story is fascinating. That's probably my favorite part of it. I want to know all about them, what they could do, what you learned back from them, and actually how, by working in detail with real weaver family units, you could bring a lot of social value into this model as well, and actually really push the boundaries of what the product range might be, so you can move it beyond the prototypes you've done now into a range of things that are maybe valuable to the family. So sort of really explore with them much more how this material could be used in different ways. You might also in the future be able to look at how you can use sisal in more like a kind of a material to be fed into different processes, so not just as a strand, but maybe also sort of diluted and melted and sort of used in other, as part of other material components. I know we're a little tight on time, so I'm going to let the rest of the jury then make some comments, but well done, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would like to also make a comment about the family who are doing weaving. They were so happy with me, giving them the job, and they were just asking for how long will it be a continuous work that we are going to do, because the little money that I gave them, it was able to improve, buy food, buy clothes, and take children to school. Yeah, so I would like to bring an economic impact to their lives. They can be able to get extra cash to improve their livelihood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. I hope that you can continue doing systemic design in the area with combined with bioinnovation. Let's, because we are a little bit late, we can continue now with Alessia.
Yes, I will share my screen. And I will start with my video. Okay, this was my video. And I'll go to my presentation. So, on the skin and beneath is an art installation that explores how emotional memory can be translated into a wearable that supports reflection on embodied experience. Emotional experiences are not disembodied abstractions. They are felt, lived, and mapped within our body. And this is a quote that I carried with me throughout the making of this project. So emotional memory, emotional mapping, body mapping, as well as my embodied experience act as design tool for this installation. And with emotional memory, I refer to the ability of emotion and feelings to shape what and how we remember, while emotional mapping helps capture the association between emotional states and bodily regions. And body mapping is the process of creation through the use of graphic tools such as drawing, painting, or collage, and helps reflect on complex lived experiences. So the bodysuit that you saw is composed by 2 layers, the underlayer, which holds the microcontrollers and the cable, and the upper layer with the bioskin and the touch sensors. I decided to use biomaterials as I think they share key characteristics with memories and emotions, as they can be fragile, layered, reactive, composite, and changing over time. The recipe that I used is an alginate-based recipe with apple peel, which I have dehydrated and reduced into powder and added to the solutions. Here you can see me pouring the solution, and for most of the molds I used a high stretch synthetic fabric which I pinned to the frame, and I poured the alginate solution on top. And for one of the molds I used a crochet piece that I made with cotton yarn, so this was my substrate. Also me pouring everything. So here it's me testing the outcomes. It's nice, it's quite flexible, not so stretchy, but I like its transparency, and each piece is different. Something that I also really enjoy. I move a bit forward. Yeah, this is another piece with a kind of less vibrant color. Here are also some pictures of the process of the solution drying and the outcomes, both with the substrate and without the substrate. So next ones. This is me working on the pattern, which I never did before, so it was kind of challenging, but we ended up having something that worked, and we moved into the stitching. Since I did the pattern by hand, I also cut the piece by hand, and I used machine stitching, but also some hand stitching to close the arms and the legs of the bodysuit. This is the final pattern and how I assembled it, and the pieces with the crochet substrate have been used for the central piece in the back and in the front of the bodysuit. Here is the underlayer with the microcontroller that, to which I soldered the cables, and I stitched it to the piece. These are the touch sensors, which are also made with a cotton yarn, and the central piece has also some conductive thread. And I would like to add that the design of the crochet piece that was used as a substrate and the touch sensors have been inspired by my mother's wedding kit. which was woven by my great-grandmother and crocheted by my grandmother. So I wanted to use it in some sort of way for this project. As I mentioned before in other presentations, I would like to expand the narrative space of the installation through the use of tokens. So this object outside the bodysuit that represent an emotional memory. And at the moment, I mapped these two regions, the hands and the hair, and explore themes as family, belonging, grief, absence. And I've collected my hair, I weaved them, I also use natural dyes and crochet pieces again, and it's something that I would like to explore further and have this as part of my installation. Also use emotional mapping to map other region of the body. To go back to the bodysuit, I use the ESP protocol to have the two microcontrollers communicating. So the one on the bodysuit and the one connected to the display. I made a case for the display. So this is how it looks like. And these are the images that are shown on the display. Each one of them is linked to one of the sensors and one of the body parts. And to do this, I kind of make a prompt for myself that goes through the body mapping methodology. And this is the outcome I had for me. Here is the display changing with touch. And I kind of like this pixelate vibe, and it's like a really small screen that you can ideally carry with you. So in conclusion, the intention behind this installation is to encourage an inner conversation about bodily feeling, representation, and also alternative way of communicating these experiences. And as I made this like body mapping methodology for myself, hopefully like other people would be encouraged to do that. Yeah, I think this was my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessia. That was really interesting. What a suit! I want to put it on and have a go to really get the full experience. I've got a couple of questions. Well, first of all, I love the relationship that you made between biomaterials and memory. I think that's a very useful observation that I think the biomaterial community, which is a very emergent community, very new, would really appreciate and like to explore further with you, actually. I think that's a lovely observation. So there's great potential to do more with that, I think. Can I ask you, can you explain to me a little bit more about the microcontroller and the touch sensors? So I did love those images, and I love the detail that you can see of the images, almost like little cross stitch in the handheld device. What's happening? Take me through what's happening with the sensors and the suit as it's either touched or worn.
Yeah, so maybe I can share again my screen so I have a little reference. Share.
So this is sort of embedded in the suit.
Yeah.
The sensors.
So yeah, like let's say like especially like because there's two sensors on the arms, two sensors on the legs, and one of the chest and one of the belly. So ideally, when you're wearing the suit and you touch the sensors on the chest, you see the image that, for me, at this time, is linked to the feeling I have on the chest. So this is how the communication works.
I see. So someone else has got the sensor, and you're saying, here's a visual representation of what I'm feeling. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I would love also maybe if someone would like graphically describe what they're feeling, and then that could be displayed on the display. I think that would be really powerful, like, because this bodysuit is for me, so now it's displaying the feeling that I have and I'm feeling.
Can you transmit, by wearing the suit, can you transmit potentially what you're feeling to somebody in another country? Could you be communicating through touch these different feelings? Or do you have to be in the same Wi-Fi zone? I don't know.
I think the range of the ESP protocol is like 50 meters, 100 meters. I don't think it goes that far, sadly. But it would like really interesting to explore this direction.
I love the idea that you could be in a gallery like this is an installation and it's an artwork, and people could maybe either touch the suit and interact with it or even wear it. And then in another part of the gallery or even in another country, people are sort of having an experience with you at the same time. So there's great potential for you to do more with this as an artist. I really love how you've been using domestic textiles into this space as well. And our, you know, we're sort of losing touch with those skills, aren't we? And the kind of crochet and lace making and the idea of memory with those textiles, with this new group of materials, I think is what's sort of becoming your area as an artist to take forward. So I'd just love to see what you do next with it, and maybe, you know, hopefully you'll get to exhibit the work and sort of talk about it and expand on this. But congratulations, I think it's really, really interesting.
Yeah, no, thank you, Becky, also for the great ideas, actually. Thank you.
Thank you, Alessia. And now we will move to Innocent before we go to the bio break. So Innocent from Rwanda. Searching for Innocent.
Hello.
Check. Hello.
Okay, let me unmute everything.
We can hear you, yes. Innocent, would you like to start with the video or with the presentation? Perfect.
Let me
wait a second. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Did you share your sound?
Oh, let me also see. Maybe I need to add sound because I did not add the sound. Can you hear the sound?
No, you need to share again. So here, share again. When you share, you check the box on the right. Otherwise, I can share for you. Just let me know.
Can you hear
Okay,
my sound?
yes.
And also, I also did another big video that explained everything. And also I did the PowerPoint, but what I did in the PowerPoint is the one which is in the video. I think I can share the video and then show what I've been doing. And also after, if you allow me, I'll also share my PowerPoint. Can I do?
Would it be possible that you first do the PowerPoint and after the video?
Okay, let me.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me share. I think you can see my screen. Let me share.
You need to share again. Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. Good afternoon, good morning, and then good evening, everybody. I'm Innocent Iradukunda. I'm cutting manager in Garment Making Factory, where we also dealing with pattern and I'm also fashion design because I own my own brand. So my final project, I call it the Unified Shades. The Unified Shade, that means it's the meaning of unified. There is the unified and there is a shades. Unified, I have also highlighted it is like unity, and shade, it is a kind of the colors. So for my project, I decided to use onion as my natural dyes that I'm gonna use it in my final project. Let me start with my problem statement. The synthetic dye pose several environmental risks. They release toxic chemical into water system, causing pollution and harm aquatic life. The dyes also require massive water consumption during the production, and the work exposed to those chemicals faces serious health risk. In contrast, natural dyes like those from onion skin offer safe, renewable, and eco-friendly alternative. An objective of this final project is to explore eco-friendly dyeing method using natural material and also produce environmental impact by impact instead of using synthetic fiber. Also, we have to jump to natural dyes. And there's a material that I have used. I have tried to details here, but I also explain it in my video very details, where I have used onion skin. I collect it from the market where they throw it away and it became waste. I go and then I collected everything. And also water, fabric, I have used the linen fabric because the linen also is the one which is a natural one, also which is sustainable to environment. And also I use alum as modelant. So I start my collection. The process was also to collect the onion skin from the market. And then I take it to home. And also this process also promote sustainability because instead of throwing away, I took it and then I use it. And also for me to do the dyes, I just boiled the onion cover, and then I extract the pigment, and also I get liquid dyes. For the modern, I have used the modern to fix dyes in two methods. Because I do the research and then I do the test, I found there is two methods we can use the modern, and then we got some dyes, different colors. First one, I soaked, I put the alum in the water, and then I soaked my clothes, and then I dye. And the result was a light and more over colors. And also second method, I add the alum direct into the dyes bath, and then I dyed. The result was also this color. This one was the first result, and also second one was this result. Observation, different method, also observation from here, according to the way you have used the alum, it also gives you like different colors according to the one that we are looking for. The final outcome, I full out dyed also, I dyed my outfit, and then I get those looks that I'm gonna show you. And also, as the future, oh, wait. As the future recommendation for me, as I continue to focus on natural dyes in Rwanda, the future is bright. My approach can give you traditional textile art, empowering local artists, and it can reduce dependence in import synthetic material, boosting local economy. Natural dye, I offer unique culture, research, distribution, Rwanda fashion global. In the long term, this shift can position Rwanda in need sustainable fashion across the Africa, inspiring both local and international. My conclusion, natural dye are a greater alternative to synthetic dyes because it is sustainable, and they also will reduce waste on the environment. So I think also I need also to share my video that shows everything, how I have done everything here. Also share the video. Which is this one.
I'm not seeing a video. Just want to know.
It's okay. I think Innocent's connection has dropped, so I will share his video until he comes back, so that we don't lose time. Just give me 1 second. Okay. All right.
Is a major source of water pollution, with about 17 to 20% of global industrial water pollution coming from untreated dye wastewater. These synthetic dyes are often non-biodegradable, toxic, and disrupt aquatic ecosystems by reducing oxygen levels and harming marine life. In contrast, natural dyes, these natural dyes are biodegradable, non-toxic, and significantly reduce the environmental footprint of fabric dyeing. By shifting from synthetic to natural dyes, we can preserve water quality, safeguard aquatic life, and promote a healthier.
This is where my project comes in. I begin by designing my collection in CLO3D, a dynamic tool that allows me to create without wasting any fabric. By using CLO3D, I can fit my garments virtually, ensuring a precise design while staying true to sustainability. This way, I avoid fabric waste and reduce my environmental footprint, all while staying innovative. I just start to draw the clothes on the fabric, where I have already done the fit, and then I remove the exact measurement from CLO3D, where I've started to draw my clothes. Then I start to cut it, ready to sew, and I begin to sew some kind of outfit. I have just finished my cutting outfits, and then I just go to the sewing machine. And when I was sewing, this is the time I was also placing my outfits in shape. As I'm sewing I also keep cutting the remaining outfits. I want to start to see the good quality onion skins. and I start to separate the good ones from the waste. And also I have to find fast, and I design a button on my computer. And then I cut it with the laser cutting machine. I don't even just jump to plastic ones. I decide to use the ones from the tree, where I keep sewing the clothes. And then after that, I have also to prepare the buttons, with making the sample of dye that I'm going to use. This is the final sample that I'm going to do in my collection. After making the sample dye, I prepare it by using onion skins. I place the skins in a saucepan, heat them until it boils. After boiling it, I leave it several minutes. Then I start to sieve the onion skins from the dye. After a while, once the dye is warm, I add alum. I didn't even measure the balance again because I had already checked the grams before. Once I add alum, the dye is ready, and then I apply it to the outfit. I leave it whole night. I tied my clothes because I decided to use a deep dyeing method. I tied my clothes, and then I added the dyes. I left them overnight, ready to be dyed. In the morning, I took them out of the dye, and I washed them with water and soap to remove the excess dye. Then, I rinsed them thoroughly, several times. After this, I added the buttons, and once the buttons were on, I was ready to start a photo shoot. This is also my first look where there's a shortened shirt. My future project is all about creating a sustainable alternative to synthetic dyes in Rwanda's fashion industry. By focusing on natural dyes like those made from onion skin zyme to reduce water pollution, lower carbon impact, and support a circular economy. This means my work can help preserve Rwanda's natural resources, while giving local fashion brands a unique edge. Financially, as demand for sustainable fashion grows, I see opportunities for partnerships and income from conscious consumers. Academically, this project can be a foundation for research in sustainable textiles, allowing me to publish, present at conferences, and potentially pursue further studies. In short, this is a project that grows with me, impacting my personal goals, my financial future, and the wider industry here in Rwanda.
Got it. Thank you, Innocent. Wow, I love your project. You epitomize the kind of low-tech meet high-tech future that so many people are talking about. And the fact that you're very much working with new technologies, you know, you've got the world of AI to embrace and Gen AI tools that can come into this. But then you're experiencing through this project for the first time this natural dyeing, which, you know, lots of us have known about this and used this ourselves and explored it for ourselves. And it's always valuable for people to do it themselves, to get their hands wet, to really understand all the different steps and to use what's available locally, because that's always different, that always changes, and the color and the temperatures, that always changes with these little nuanced differences each time somebody uses natural dyeing in this way. So there's real value in your journey, as you've explained, with the natural dyeing approach. But then I think what happens with your project is it just takes on this whole other dimension, doesn't it? Because you're kind of moving between high tech and low tech, the past and the future, and bringing them together through you as the designer. You are this kind of central point to bringing these histories and these futures together in place, and making decisions that are very subtle. So what you end up with is actually a fashion look that is really new and really novel and 100% you. The detailing of the buttons, the way in which you've done the photo shoot, it's really well resolved by the end. And I think you achieve a really, really nice aesthetic. And I love what you say at the end, in particular, at the end of your film, where you say, this is my journey, this is my future, this comes together through me. I can do things with it. I can bring value to the local artisanal clothing market. I can bring value through sustainable development. I can bring value through improving environmental footprint, but it's about me growing a business. It's about me emerging and growing as a person. So I think it's a really fabulous project, and I want to congratulate you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Innocent. It was really fantastic to see your project.
Welcome.
Well done, and congratulations for making this happen and actually dive to full out.
I appreciate it.
With this,
Just a tiny comment. It is very nice to see how each person struggles in different aspects. From for Innocent, making the digital garment, the pattern, the sewing, and the production is like he's a magician. He can make it in one night. He can produce the garments. And for others, the natural dyeing process is something a lot more easier than producing a garment. I wish you, Innocent, to take this project seriously, because you can also learn the magic of natural dyeing and combine it with your magic skills of cloth 3D. And with that, we can make a small break of 10 minutes. And then bio break, we stretch and we continue after. Thank you, Innocent.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And I will be playing some video in the meantime for the bio break.
maybe we need to test. We didn't manage.
Test. I will. You can test.
Martina, make a start.
Okay, perfect.
You're there. And then after Martina, Diana, I don't know if you want to test.
Yep.
Fantastic. Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, let me try the video. I have sound at the beginning, so if it's working.
Yeah. You can hear the bells. Amazing. Super fast tester. Thank you. Diana and Claire and Darlene, one after the other.
Hi, can I practice sharing my screen, please?
Can you see mine now?
Yeah, I can see yours. Fantastic. It works well.
Sound.
And then if I check. Wait, I didn't share audio, I think.
You need to stop sharing. Yeah. Start sharing again. On the right side, there is a little checkbox.
Once.
It's okay, take your time. I'll stay during the break. Stephanie, I see your message. Yes, of course, all four of you.
I don't know if I have the option, but let me check.
So when you press on share, it should open a side window. And there it is, like two little check boxes. It's called share options, and one of them is share sound.
Yeah, maybe because I'm on the browser. Let me check.
Yeah, that could be. Just try sharing and we see how it sounds.
It should work.
No, no audio.
Okay.
Do you have headphones in?
Nope.
Okay, then you're gonna have to. No.
Speaker.
Did you put your video in the shared folder?
If you
I did, but it's in the same one as the presentation, not in the video folders.
And if you do, you have the Zoom app? Can you join from the app?
I don't think I have it, but let me check. If you want to go ahead and test someone else, it's fine.
Okay, we test somebody else in the meanwhile. Maybe Carmen or Claire, either or.
I can do it. It's if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh. Sorry, I can't. It's okay?
Yes, but so go in presentation mode because right now we see your left side, the page setup. Yeah, perfect. There is no audio, correct?
Yeah, it's coming.
We still have no audio.
Okay.
So share button at the bottom of your screen. On the right side, it appears. It says share options. And then
Yeah,
share sound.
but I had to put the password.
For the permissions.
I don't know if it's okay.
The wolf in the neck sheep lives with the rhythm of the seasons. In summer, it travels to.
It's okay?
Yeah, the audio is good. Nice, loud and clear. Thank you, Claire. And Carmen?
Okay, let's try again.
Oh, there is an echo.
Yes, yes, yes.
It's us.
It's okay.
Tout l'écran.
Perfect. Your slides are beautiful. They're going through. And is there already audio?
Once upon a time, there was a creative studio.
It's going well. We could hear it well. Thank you. Good job. And Darlene?
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. Wonderful.
Audio's working.
You can hear the sound?
Not anymore. I heard it before.
Oh no, I paused it.
Okay, okay.
And this is my okay. I'm good. You guys can see everything?
We can see them. You need to remember to go into full screen mode when you're presenting. Top
Got
right.
you. Okay. Thank you.
Diana, I see you twice now. Diana, do you hear me? And everybody, remember, be ready 1 or 2 spots before yours, just in case there is any connection issue. Some screen sharing not working. Technology sometimes is not on our side. So be ready.
So now I will continue the break with sharing a short video because we still have 4 more minutes.
Yeah, but Diana still needs to test. She couldn't share the video. Yeah, she's trying to enter again.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Diana, do you hear me?
Yes, let me try resharing.
I see you 2 times now. I'm not sure why, but let's say it's not important right now.
Share sound.
Great. Okay, good job fixing it. Go stretch your legs. See you in a couple of minutes. Nat, now you can play the videos. I'm gonna go do the bye break.
Okay, I think we can continue with the presentations. So who is up next?
Doa.
Doa.
Hello. Okay. Just a minute. Some sound. So, hello. لحظة. Now, I think it's good. Hello, everyone. My name is Doa Al-Hamti. I'm so happy to share my final project today with you, Recorded Tatreers, a story of thousands of stories. So, can we preserve the rich heritage of traditional clothing while we are using advanced technology to carry its legacy into the future? From this land, from these homes, Palestinian women did not just create clothing, they created identity. Palestinian women, especially in villages, wear traditional dresses called thobes. And each village has its own distinctive hand embroidery, unique to its community and surrounding nature and animals and so on. And the Palestinian Tatreez was officially recognized and inscribed by UNESCO in 2021. My root go back to a village called Al Abbasiyah in Java district, one of many that were erased after the Nakba in 1948. For years, I've been searching for the original embroidery that carried the identity of my village thobes, and that's led me to realize that many traditional thobes were lost during the years of the Nakba and after, as part of an attempt to erase Palestinian identity. And it pushed me to further explore how and why these thobes disappeared. In unexpected places, many Palestinian thobes began to appear for sale in auctions, and when looking into their origins, the people who tried to sell these thobes said that it's taken from abandoned Palestinian homes. These thobes often show the marks of time, yet at the same time, they appear unworn, almost preserved. Let's imagine one of these thobes. What might have happened to the woman who once wore it? Maybe her wedding never took place, as the violence reached her village. Or the man she was meant to marry was lost before they could begin their life together. Or she got married but later lost her husband and with him the life she once knew. She told to leave just for a few days and to take nothing with her because she will return back to her home. Or she never made it out when her village was attacked, but the dress remained. All these scenarios in seconds. Now imagine thousands of unworn thobes from hundreds of villages across Palestine. This project did not begin with technology, but from a gap between a heritage preserved by embroidery and tatreez and a hard reality that repeats itself in countless forms. I began with the first phase of my project with research. It's an ocean of information about Palestine, cities and villages, the events that shaped its history, including occupation, and of course the embroidery and tatreez, drawing from a wide range of sources, including also making surveys to communicate with the people about the thobes. And it's a process that hasn't really ended, and I believe it will not. It will continue. After the phase of experimentation with the 3D embroidery samples, I moved into the second phase of the project. It's a journey of designing, printing, and thobe construction. And I call it journey because each thobe actually took around 150 hours between designing, 3D printing, and sewing. Together, this resulted in a collection of 3 thobes, along with the headpieces that created through a combination of 3D printing and bioleather, and also a bioleather belt for the asl thobe. The asl thobe, rooted in the land, preserved in memory, revived through technology to endure. The design is entirely inspired by the tatrees of the Java region. I specifically choose this color, the purple color, because of historical reasons. The coastal cities in Palestine were once among the most important sources of the purple dye extracted from the Morex shells during the Canaanite period. In addition, cochineal, which is still used to produce rich shaded of purple in Palestine today. And the third reason is that there was a distinctive thobe in the lid region known as thobe al-Karmazot, named after the fabric it was made from, characterized by purple tones. But unfortunately, this thobe is no longer exists today. And here we can see some of the steps of the process of making the asl thobe. The second thobe is shahid thobe. This thobe born from pain and resilience woven in the now. After Nakba, for many years, Palestinian women stopped embroidering and making tatrees as their focus shifted to survival. Even those who carried their thobes with them began wearing them inside out as an expression of grief for what they had lost and for those they had lost. And the Nakba for many is not only a past event, it's an ongoing reality reflected in continued displacement, destruction, and separation that still shapes lives today. This thobe carries more than patterns. It carries a hard reality, motifs inspired by life under occupation, translated into samples, explosions, barbed wires, which separate the villages and cities, restrained hands of Palestinians, and the quiet presence of refugee camps and tents. And also the resistance, which is in the cactus, which carries this meaning. And of course, we can see here also steps of making the shahid thobe. The third thobe is the yaqeen thobe. It's a faith woven in freedom, carrying a joy yet to come. It's unlike the previous thobe. This thobe speaks in color, bright, alive, carrying a quiet belief that joy, freedom, and liberation are coming. Its samples are drawn from life, from Java's orange, from coastal lighthouses, Al-Aqsa motifs, and wheat fields, and watermelons, and even the green almonds, which each one of these symbols a sign of new beginnings for the Palestinian. And also here we can see the steps of preparing the yaqeen thobe. So together with these three thobes, I launched the first collection of this project. It's a collection that tells us the story of thousands of stories in Palestine. And let's now move to watch them come to life in a short film that I prepared before.
يمام ويليا ضرب الخناجر ولا حكم الندل فيا يما ويلي الهوى يما ويليا يما ويلي الهوى يما ويليا ضرب
شمالي لاليا ويلي شمالي لاليا ويلي
يا طير رفرف فوق بلادنا غني يا طير غني فوق اراضينا يا طير رفرف فوق بلادنا غني يا طير غني فوق اراضينا رفرف يا طير فوق غصون
Well done. That's an amazing project. It was really interesting to see it at the interim section, and then to now see it finished as this whole body of work is just really thrilling. I think you've realised those ideas beautifully. I found the whole storytelling to be really good quality. How you had, even telling us things like how each thobe took 150 hours to make. All those details are really important to sort of include when you're presenting the work. I wrote some things down here, like this is kind of like a perfect Fabricademy project in some ways, in many ways, because you've integrated yourself as the artist and you've grown, but you've brought in history, you've brought in future technology, you've really explored thoroughly and tested lots of ideas. And you're the kind of student, it's the sort of project which fits within this amazing virtual realm and intersectional kind of group. I just love it. I just think it's so fantastic. I thought the individual garments were really well realized in terms of their focus. So you looked back with the first one at heritage and tradition and, actually sort of about preservation and how technology can kind of bring the past into the future and appreciate everything that's gone before. And then the second group, the shattered thobe, that's about bearing witness and that, that's a really hard theme to develop and actually deliver and to make it work in a garment. I really, really appreciate the level of thought and detail that you've put into these stories. And then the final one, the future, the hope, it's really joyful and your design work sort of like you've managed to express all of that through your design decision making. So the color, the way in which you've done the embroidery, the combination of hand with the machine, 3D printed embroidery. So really fantastic. 2 or 3 more things and then I'll finish. Reach out to people now with this project. The V&A, the Victoria and Albert Museum in Dundee, it's still on at the moment, but it's an exhibition of Palestinian textiles. And I'm sure the curators would love to hear from you and for you to show them your project. So try to find opportunities to show people your work, because I think that there are commissions, residencies, art projects where you could develop this further. And I think you really should try to. I think that you've also done a piece of design research which could go a lot further, whether that's like a PhD for yourself or just making a commercial collection. When I say just, I know exactly how hard that is, but I think you've got to really show this work now as much as you can and try to find ways to take it forward, because I think it's a really good project. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Becky. Thank you.
Congratulations, Doa. Let's move forward because we are a little bit late. And who is next?
It's Diana.
Everyone, can you see my slides now? Nice. Well, thank you. The question is what my project is about. My name is Yana. I'm from the Textile Lab. And for the past months, I've tried to answer with some proof of concepts and tests. How wool and the materials derived from it can replace synthetics across every layer of the commercial acoustic of a commercial acoustic panel. So today, this wool is struggling to find its market. It is considered too coarse for fashion. Breeders have little to no incentive to work on it, to process it because of the overhead costs. But wool is a super material. It's hydrophobic, insulating, thermally regulating, and so durable. It is estimated that the European acoustic industry is worth billions, and yet it is still working mainly on petroleum-based materials, materials that will outlast the buildings that they are put on or used on. So what do we know about sound? I'm trying to understand how wool fits in all of this. And we know that softer materials mean more absorption. The harder the material, it will reflect more sound. And also thickness and geometry play a role here as well. Also, the space at which you mount the panels from the wall also has an impact on the acoustics as well. I'm using the NRC metric to measure this using a near field testing, which is a calibrated microphone on top of a 90-degree angle from the sample. And then a speaker that is located on the side to do some sweep tests. Now, how are acoustic panels made? They usually have three parts, which is a backing, a core, and a face. Depending on the materials on each of these parts, it's the way that the panel will behave. So for backing, I'm mainly relying on an air gap. The air gap will allow the material to increase the absorption just because physics and the way that it works with the wall and the material as well. For the core, we usually work with foams, synthetic foams, at typically 40 to 100 millimeters of thickness. And the face of the panel is just a decorative surface or the geometry that we use to absorb sound. So with this in mind, I wanted to see if, can wool be used in acoustic treatment more in other forms than just regular carded padding? Can we create different acoustic results just from wool, like one single material that can work in a different applications across the industry? So starting with the birds material, I work mainly with wash carded wool. This wool by itself, we know that it has acoustic properties. It is too thick for fashion, but in construction, that is an advantage because thicker fibers mean more air resistance, more acoustics, and better performance and absorption. So the base of the panels can be needle felted or weft felted, which results in different densities and different results in acoustics by use cases. It could be structural, bioplastics, and porosity are the categories I chose to focus on. So I started playing around with biomaterials, how to make wool have different finishes, different textures, different look and feel. So we have this kind of fiber plate that is very dense and rigid and structural. These are made with agar. They're good to use as a core of a panel. They're good for molding and using molds to 3D print and set a shape into them. And they're very porous, and you can work with short and long fiber. Then this is one of my favorite materials. I call it a bioceramic or bioclay, and it is reinforced by the wool on it. It can be used as a decorative face or a reflector of sound here. And it is strong enough that it can be laser cut, molded, or sculpted. This one would need a core beneath it, so that does most of the absorption as well. So when we think of wool, we think of yarn. However, for this type of wool, we usually run into the problem that it's too thick for the industrial machinery that exists to spin it and produce yarn. So I thought, why not make a different type of yarn? So this is an extruded yarn made from alginate and wool that can also be used as a decorative or outer skin for the panels. It was 3-inch extruded, but I'm sure that it could be 3D printed as well. So that's something to explore in the future. Same project, same logic, but no glycerin, extruded flat instead of round. Then it can take different shapes, and I love how it diffuses light. So some of the materials find their own applications along the way, even if it's not what we had in mind initially. I have a few variations of this one. This is closer to paper than plastic, but some other variations are more close to a resin. These are all wool with biomaterials casted into thin layers, and I love that it gives this marbled appearance while held against light. Again, this is more of an outer skin for a panel, but different variants produce different results that are super interesting. Then we have these types of foams. These are different from all of the other materials. In here, the wool is not exactly mixed into the solution. It's rather dipped into it and sealed on the surface or absorbed by it, depending on the result you want. You can play around with the recipe here or the process. I like that the alginate gives some structure, but it remains spongy and open for the wool to absorb. It can work as a core or a face of a panel, depending on how we want to treat it. So a bit more of the material family here. And then we move on to the panel configuration. My idea with this was to explore a combination of traditional and newer techniques to create some designs for our panels that follow the material properties, but also work well with the physics of sound. So some of them are laser cut or laser engraved, felted, tufted, extruded, molded, or woven with traditional yarn and the extruded alginate yarns. So it's customization. This allows customization and acoustic performance according to the preference of the user. So the ideal listening room has a mix of reflective and absorptive surfaces, but at the end of the day, it's personal preference on how much you want to absorb versus reflect. Finally, we have different results here based on how much of an absorber versus reflector they are. And to be comparable to a commercial foam panels, we need an NRC of above 50. This is the first test, which is no air gap, the sample directly on the table, which might seem low, but whenever we move into the tests, we are above or on par as a commercial acoustic panel. So these are all great. The best performers are the ones with geometries. And with this, I want to close with a material application system. With this project, the proposal is that beyond having the material cards and process documents, we also think about the applications and start documenting with a specific industry in mind, with prototypes, regulations, performative test data, etc. And finally, I realized that this is not a problem that is exclusive to this region or this material. I think this happens everywhere. So I hope that with a little guide that I create in my documentation, I can inspire you to look around and, you know, work with the materials that you have around you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Deanna, I love that so much. And you win with the best slide at the end there. That's just too cute. I love this project. I love everything about this project. It's really well thought through and executed, and your finish and presentations fantastic. I'm sure you've had lots of great feedback on it already. I hope I can add something extra to it. One tiny criticism at the beginning, which is that I would love you to present something about your competition in the marketplace around wool acoustic panels at the moment, because they are out there, as we know. But, you know, what price range are they at? How many kind of brands? Who's closest to you? And actually, what is it that they don't do that you can do? If you start your presentation with that, I think you'll get us in the space behind you without having those questions in the back of our mind. And I think you could do a little piece on that quite quickly to just really say, yeah, look, we are doing something really new here. Really powerful statistic you started off with there about the materials, the synthetics are going to be outlasting the buildings. I mean, it's absolutely true. And isn't it shocking when you put that forward to people? So actually, that's really powerful. Make sure you use that really, really well to explain how important it is that we are going to use these naturally recurring, regenerative resources that are around us. And you're quite right to talk about the fact that coarse wool is being wasted all over Europe, in many other places outside of Europe, and that we need many more innovative solutions. So all of that's great. I think your sampling is brilliant, and I really think that you've got a strong skill set in being able to keep moving the material on. You know, you take a really genuinely sort of design driven approach where the materials inform your line of inquiry. And I love that. That's very much sort of speaks to the way in which design research is sort of being done in my field. So I could really identify where you were doing original stuff. I particularly like the extruded samples, and my favorite is the wallpaper, because surely that's got to be a new interior product, wallpaper printed with a really sort of low impact, beautiful design on it. And you know, being able to cover walls, not with the acoustic finish, but with a really sort of beautiful aesthetic, which you are totally achieving. When I see that wall of tiles, almost, I just want a whole room with those tiles, even though I think we're looking at your sample range, but actually that sort of almost feels to me like a very high-end bespoke interior sort of acoustic space as well. There's some great research going on at De Montfort University in Leicester, where they really are specialising in using new material science approaches with wool. So do look there and maybe connect, maybe talk to them, show them your work. I'll finish there, but lots of things sparking in my head, because it's a great project, and massive congratulations.
Thank you.
I think we're leaving you a lot of very happy comments, Diana, in the spreadsheet, really, because it was beautiful. Thank you so much for bringing us along in this journey.
Thanks.
Next up, we will have Carmen.
Hi, everybody. I will just share my screen. And yes, okay.
You're muted.
Yeah, we do not hear you. I pressed the ask to unmute, so you should just be able to press the middle button.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, let's start again. So I'm following the Fabricademy from Brussels at the Green Fabric. And I wanted to join the Fabricademy after working for 5 years in the industry in product developing, and I was mostly developing trims, and that inspired me a lot to start at the Fabricademy with my project called Fragment Studio, which is all about developing buttons. One of the questions that I was wondering when I was working is what makes us have a deeper connection to the clothing we wear? And one of the answers was, of course, the emotional connection. It's the memories that we keep of a garment, if it's from somebody that we know, or if it's from a nice day out shopping that we had with friends, for example. But it is also that one little detail, and that's really something that I learned when I was developing trims for fashion brands, but also, you know, some clothing that we like it so much because it's a tone-on-tone button or because it's got that little lace on the side. It's all about the little details, I believe. So my project really stemmed from that one little detail. The word fragments from Fragment Studio comes from the multifaceted aspect of materials origins and uses, because I only use a material that is available around me here in Brussels. And each material holds a past. And when assembled together, their fragments of old stories start to create a new one. For example, maybe a farmer having a crop of onions is not expecting his onion to start dyeing a batch of buttons in the end. So, you know, it's just stories coming together. So my approach is material-based. This is how I get the shapes and the feels and the touch. We'll see that later. And I use craftsmanship to transform waste streams available around me. My whole research during the past 3 months was centered around developing a collection of buttons, as you can see on the image on the left, but also really focusing on developing a laboratory cookbook where I talk about all of my recipes. You will see some slides about it later, and where I see what works, what doesn't, and where I also see opportunities to maybe ask for advice, biological advice from scientists, for example. It's really a document that I will take with me after the Fabricademy. Same goes for the sales book. It's more of a commercial and design element of my research of the past 3 months, because my idea is really to take this project further after the Fabricademy. The process is like cooking in the kitchen, but for making buttons. So I use pans, I use a mortar, I use a mixer, I use a freezer, but also it either dries in the air or it dries in the dehydrator, depending on what I use. In fact, what I use is all here on this page. So let's go one by one. The dyes, it's only onion skins and alder. With this, I already have 3 colors. You will see that later. I modify the dyes by using acid citric or iron sulfate or tannin. This way I can get more vibrant colors or darker colors. It turns out that those dye modifiers are also cross-linkers, and cross-linkers allow me to make elements more water-resistant or heat-resistant, which is very important for buttons. Then in terms of preservatives, so to make them more long-lasting, I use either glycerin or Coast Guard. And the fillers are very important as well because they give a color and a texture. So for example, I used petals, paper, milk, eggshells, fabric, coffee grounds, etc. It's endless. There is much more recipes that I could have, but for now I focused on this. And the main ingredients, which is what was very important for me learning at Fabricademy, was using how to use alginate, how to use gelatin, how to use starch, how to use baking soda. And I believe I came to some really interesting recipes. Here is the color chart of the colors that are available at the moment, with only yellow onions, red onions, and alder fruits. And then depending on the fillers, these are the colors that I could get as well. So eggshells, textiles, and petals, for example. The molding process was by using silicon, plasticine, or silicon again, or using a 3D printer. What is very interesting to me by using silicon is that if a fashion brand wants to use their signature button and try a biomaterial button, I can totally ask them to give me their signature button, mold it, and make them see what it would look like with their own signature button, for example. And now let's see what the buttons look like when they are on a piece of clothing.
You have sound?
There's no sound? Oh. Hang on.
Yeah, perfect. Let's see. There's still no.
Once upon a time, there was a creative studio. Everything it touched transformed into a button. Fragments Studio was the name. It was like playing the lottery and winning every time. Onion skins gave the color red. Potato starch gave concave shapes. Eggshells acted as a filler, the way Botox fills lips. Shredded textiles became a hard, rough button surface, while gelatin gave a shiny look. Dried flowers were left untouched inside buttons, forever looking beautiful. Small ground cones of alder trees gave a rich black color. All around, there was a story to be found, fragments to be assembled.
Carmen, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Thank you for the heads up. Let's go back. So here's the shiny collection where the buttons are made from gelatin. No, I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay now. We can hear you.
There is a little window of the app, Zoom only on the, yeah.
Ah oui, ok. Ah, il voit aussi. Oh. Oh.
Okay.
Thank you so much. So those are made from gelatin, and that's why they're shiny and they're molded on a flat surface. That's why I get the shiny effect. Then this is the crinkled collection, where it's the way that it dried that made it crinkle. It's a mix of potato starch, textiles, and gelatin. Then this is the original collection. This is what we expect of a button. It looks like a button. It acts as a button. And this is the signature collection where, for example, I'm aiming to have a recognizable shape in which I create my own buttons. And then there's also always the possibility to collaborate with brands, and they tell me what color they want and what they want inside the buttons. Maybe they have scraps of fabric that they want to give me, and I can transform that into buttons, for example. This is a SWOT analysis. I don't know if I have time to go through it. No. And this is what it looks like in all, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed what they look like, and I'm very excited to take on this project further, and I will be looking forward to your feedback.
Thanks, Carmen. Huge congratulations. As somebody said in the chat, in love with Fragment. Fragment is a great project. I think you've done a superb job. I love when somebody chooses something very focused and then goes deep with it and really, really explores it in detail. And that's totally what you've done. So congratulations. The more you go into something in depth in that way, the more you find out what you don't know, and the more you can actually kind of get something original and new out of this endeavor, out of this this really important element of the fashion industry. I thought what you did fantastically was tell the stories. I wrote down what waste does. That felt really new to me, to hear you narrate what happens in the design process as you take each particular natural waste, bio waste, and experiment with it, and then you're sort of telling us the stories. That's a real kind of marketing thing you could do a lot more with as you move forward. I think people will love hearing how each different waste performs differently and acts differently. Because it is a practical product, I've got a couple of feedback. You can hear my butt coming, can't you? And it is this. It's like, what I also want to know is what you've done around the strength of the button when it's attached to the garment. So, the traditional looking button has the holes in it. You've created holes in the middle of the material piece. How strong is that button when it's attached with thread? And of course, what happens in the laundry phase. So I would love you as a next step to sort of build out this concept and this presentation with a bit more information around its functionality. And also its circularity. So, come and bring in to this also what's happening with circular textiles and fashion and all the routes that are currently being used for clothing, and explain to us how the button fits into those routes or doesn't, has to go somewhere else. It's very, very strong on the front end in terms of reuse of bio waste. Make sure you're equally as strong at the end of life for the garments as well. But I really think that this is a business concept, and you've got to go for it. You've got to do more with it. It's fantastic. And if you haven't approached them, you must approach Future Fabrics Expo and get one of their little showcase opportunities, because this will go down absolutely brilliantly there.
I'm on it.
Good. It's in Brussels in June. Yeah.
Thank you, Carmen. Sorry, guys, we have to really jump through the hoops today. Next up is Martina.
Hello. Yes, let me share my video and my screen, sorry. Can you see my presentation, right?
Yeah, we see your presentation.
Perfect. Okay, so my project is called Wool and Flow. It has roots in Sardinia, an Italian island where I come from. In Sardinia, we have more sheep than people. They represent half of the Italy's sheep. We have a rich tradition of wool textile, but we have an issue. The local wool is very rustic and is mainly treated as a waste. And the same issue is faced in the Alps. Le Textile Lab in Lyon, where I'm now, is a key partner of Woolshed. Woolshed is an European project focuses on revitalizing the alpine wool. And for this project, I work with Tonnet Marteau, which is a rustic French wool. and due to its qualities, 8 tons are discarded every year, with a very small amount saved by a wool association, which is the source of the wool I use for this project. So if we look at the standard process of wool, we notice that it requires a huge amount of resources, especially water. And for rustic wool, which has a low economic value, sometimes, quite often the investment is too costly. So I decided to focus on rethinking water use in rustic wool processing. So in this project, water has different roles. It can be a biological medium in washing, a chromatic carrier in dyeing, a fiber activator in felting, and a material medium in biocomposites. And now I will guide you through them one by one. So starting from water as biological medium, here I test swim fermentation. This is a traditional washing method requiring only rainwater. So unwashed wool is placed in a in a closed system with warm water. The swint, so the salts contains in the wool will dissolve in the water, increasing the pH and triggering a fermentation, which acts as the washing step. The process develops a strong smell, and after 7 days, the wool is ready, and the smell disappears once the wool is completely dry. So the same water can be reused multiple times, and this will decrease the processing time to 3 days. And at the end, the same water can be used as natural fertilizer. So I mentioned that the process required warm water. So for this reason, it is mainly run during summer. For me, the challenge was to be able to test it during winter. So I work on a setup in the lab, which consists of a tank with a lid and a drain tap to empty the water at the end of the process, which is placed on a rolling cart to allow movements. And if we look inside the tank, we have an aquarium pump to warm the water. An aquarium thermostat to warm the water, an aquarium pump to generate bubbles and helps the process, and the wool, which is immersed in the in the rainwater, but inside bags, so it's easier to collect the wool at the end of the process. If we compare the, let's say sorry, can you see my screen right? I cannot see you. One second.
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So if we compare the fermentation with the other washing system, we have saving across different indicators. So let's move to now to the water as a chromatic carrier. Here I explore with natural dyeing, which is an alternative to chemical colors. And for me, it was important to test local resources. So I experimented with local water, which means rainwater, and compare with tap water. And I also selected alpine ingredients as dyeing material. I also simplify the process to save water when possible, and I try to reuse the bath for more colors and finally to extract pigments. So first of all, I selected 5 ingredients that are typical of the 5 countries that are partners of Woolshed. And in this slide, you can see all my tests, and you can find more findings on my website. Moving on the fiber activator, we can see water as fiber activator in felting. Felting is a traditional technique where water combined with soap and friction can create a dense fabric without using any tool. And this is the reason why this is one of the oldest textile techniques, which also breaks the linearity of the process, the standard process I showed you at the beginning. Later, needle felting emerged, so we can interlock fibers mechanically, reducing the needs of water. And today we have technologies. So technologies can help us to reduce the manual effort required in felting. And for me, the challenge here was to combine the tradition techniques, so both with water and without, with technologies. So for this reason, I selected several tools. You have some samples here with different tech level from low to high. And I observe how the manual effort change while using them and other technical aspects you can find on my website. And I also try to create some experimented pieces. So I combining the tradition with innovation due to the machine, thanks to the machines. The final pillar is about material medium. So we can see this through biocomposites. So wool can be combined with natural binders and be rethink as a new material, innovative material. Water, in this case, is an ingredient, is part of the recipe, but it can be locally sourced. So, for example, I test rainwater, or it can be also coming from a dye bath. For me, biocomposites are great for collective learning. So I work and design a replicable workshop for collective learning. So participants could experiment, but also think about new application of wool. And we tested in the lab and we were able to create a material archive. And I also have a digital one, which is a starting point for think about more about the material. So where I'm now, I'm expanding the research. I'm testing also wool coming from other breeders. I'm also exploring potential application of wool composites with people working with wool, but not only. And about people, let me say that behind this project, there is a community working with wool. So over the past months, I have the chance to meet people coming from different countries. And despite the challenges with wool, there is a shared commitment to on reevaluating, let's say, this material. So I asked some of them to join me for the video. So thank you for your attention so far. And I will now reproduce the video.
When I arrived in Aubusson to learn to weave 5 years ago, I learned that French wool was no longer used, that it was considered as a rubbish, and that it was burnt. This disregard for a local resource shocked me deeply. Yet there's no shortage of wool in France. The value chain is currently rebuilding itself.
La lana infatti può diventare un elemento di connessione tra allevatore, artigiani, ma anche industrie designer. E soprattutto se pensiamo alla lana autoctona, il suo utilizzo può favorire la nascita di microeconomie territoriali, così come anche riattivare competenze e saperi locali che oggi rischiano di andare perduti.
Voilà, moi je lave de la laine, je récupère l'eau de pluie pour ça, j'ai 2 cuves de 1000 litres et donc je filtre cette eau et je récupère l'eau de pluie. Donc je travaille principalement avec l'eau de pluie. Les rinçages se font vraiment à l'eau claire et tout le reste à l'eau recyclée, on va dire. Donc c'est quand même un système qui est assez économique en eau. Parler du feutre, c'est un peu comme parler d'une histoire d'amour. J'aime travailler la laine à pleine main, à l'eau, au savon. Puis depuis l'année dernière, j'ai donc ma machine, mon aiguilleuse. Alors je pensais qu'elle allait peut-être remplacer un peu le feutre à l'eau et savonneuse, et puis non, elle m'ouvre juste d'autres possibilités. Je partage le savoir, la transmission, l'enseignement, et j'espère faire naître des vocations, faire vibrer la nature profonde pour toute la création. La mission de Défriston Mouton était de revaloriser cette laine, et parce qu'on en avait marre de l'avoir jetée, brûlée ou stockée dans des hangars. J'espère qu'elle aura une grande importance dans la société parce qu'elle touche le cœur des humains et elle est ancestrale. Donc elle touche aussi les connaissances, la bienveillance et la thérapie.
Thank you.
Martina, thank you so much. A brilliant project. Another one with great sheep in it. Really, you know, I love this project. I love how you have worked with an entire community and lots of different innovations that are going on to do something, to work with an area that's so important to all of us. So hearts, it does touch our hearts. We don't want to see this waste, and we want to see this amazing resource used better. And you've done a brilliant piece of storytelling. So sort of very accurately sort of taking 4 pillars, 4 different approaches to how we can improve the footprint of wool and its use of water through 4 different ways. And those 4 we can kind of find other people doing, but what you've done with this project is bring them together and show us very clearly, you know, what this amounts to together. And what really struck me was your ability to be a storyteller and facilitator. So, you know, what's so great is we've got lots of people experimenting and doing their bit in this very sort of distributed way, haven't we? But we've got so few people who really understand it and are willing to spend the time with it and then bring it together, show it clearly, and then start to enable more change because of bringing things together. And I think that's a really great skill and a really strong part of this project. So hearts, yes, but minds too. And the last sort of point about the minds is I need to see some, even if it's small, you've got to show me some data. You've got to show us how you've improved things through the saving of water. And I don't know how you're going to measure it, and I don't know how you started off or you're going to end up, but you know, the whole presentation and project is based on that premise. So it's a little bit unfinished to not kind of conclude with a, you know, all of these steps combined have the potential to save X water. What do you think? Is that possible? I think we might have talked a little bit about this last time, but I can just imagine what a difficult mathematical, logistical issue it is. And I know anytime I've talked to anybody in life cycle assessment, it's way more complicated than, you know, just a simple calculation. But, you know, I think that will complete your storytelling.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your comments. I think it's easier for washing. I briefly show a table with a comparison. So I was able to compare exactly the amount of water, but also the materials, you know, like the chemical components we're not using for the fermentation is not so easy when we move to other, like I run some tests in dyeing and it's still possible because I'm removing some steps. So I'm saving water. But when you think about felting, I believe their water is not like a saving, but it's more a facilitator. So we are going out of the standard process of wool, and in some cases, rustic wool, it cannot go there because it's not so thin. I mean, we cannot use that fiber. So for this reason, I think we have like, we are thinking water as a way to experiment with another technique, but it's to keep working for sure to have more data. I would like to work on this project on a scientific side, so I will do my best. But yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there may be one person I could recommend to you just online while we're here is Jodie Everding, who developed the wool sweater for Philippa K in Sweden and has since sort of left Philippa K and now runs a consultancy. And she's really good at kind of linking up this data from scientists with the material development process. So have a look at her. She's got a website, and it might be a step in to get some more to your story. But congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to add only on one sentence. I'm really in love. I'm really touched by the movie, the technical aspect. It's all of its sides, really well done, because I think it was really, really beautifully presented and put together, and it really, congratulations. Don't stop, because there's so many things we all want to throw at you, all different hooks and people. I'm like, go, keep going, because I think you have something there to continue with.
Thank you.
But Next up, we move to more hair, different type of hair. Well, Darlene.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm about to share my screen. Oh, I can't hear you. I'm about to share my slide. Okay, can you guys see my slide?
Yes.
Okay. So, good afternoon. My name is Darlene Eberhardt Burke. I serve as the Associate Dean of the College of Arts, Social Sciences, and Humanities. I'm in the States and in the state of North Carolina. And the title of my fauna project is Rooted in Hope, a Botanical Crown Collection. So talk a little bit about the hair loss challenges. Hair loss is a significant issue affecting many women, especially Black women, often leading to emotional and cultural struggles. Traditional beauty standards may not represent our unique hair textures. Therefore, it is essential to provide culturally relevant hair solutions that empower and celebrate our natural beauty. So some of the yarn properties that I use for these crowns, these are the two yarns that I've used. I use wool, 100% wool and 100% cotton. Wool has keratin and can mimic hair and absorbs dye pretty good. And cotton is breathable, so it's a great comfort for the wearer. So why natural dyes? We had a experiment that we did with biochromes, and I think natural dyes are eco-friendly, sustainable, is very gentle on sensitive scalp, especially experiencing hair loss, and it also can have strong, vibrant colors. So the dyeing process was in 3 steps. First, the yarns were prepared through scouring, and I use a cold mordant. Then they were immersed in the natural dyes to infuse the colors, and then they were dried and then manipulated into these crowns. So the first natural dye that I used was turmeric dye, and it's known for its nice, vibrant colors, and it's also not used for culinary as well. So what I did, I had an acid bath, what I added to the turmeric with vinegar, and then the other one I used with baking soda. So the one with the vinegar had this nice vibrant yellow color, and the one that I used with the baking soda had an orange color. So I wound the yarns up on this dowel, and I took them loose, and it came up with this really tight curl. So you see this vibrant yellow at the top and then the orange on the side. And I like to call this the turmeric two-tone curly fro. Next, for the black bean dye, so is sourced from the pods of the black bean. And what I love about this particular dye, that it has like a nice muted blue grayish tone that I love, what I thought would be a great use for a crown. With the black bean dye, I use just the black bean by itself, but I also use a variation as well of the black bean. So with this, with the black bean that was soaked, and I immersed the yarn in it, I wrapped it around this cardboard, which is right here. And then from there, after I twisted it up on the wig, and after I did all the twists, that I added the beads to it right here. So this is my daughter Navia up here modeling the black bean twist with beads. Next, I have the black bean variation. So I went through 9 different types of variations, which you see right here with baking soda, vinegar, iron, alum. So, and it have these different colors right here. So I thought how interesting this would be for a nice short bob wig. So what I did, I cut the yarns, then I blow dried it some, and then I curled it with a flat iron. So you see what it looks like raw to the finished end. And I like to call this the black bean short bob variation. Next, I used the madder root dye. So what I love about the madder root, that it gave me that nice warm red, but also gave me a pink property. So with this particular one here, I used the 100% wool, gave this nice kind of vibrant red color, but the cotton gave it like a lighter, more pinkish, muted tone. So what I did here, I braided both of those on the headpiece, on the crown, and then I added a bead and I folded it up to show these type of pin curls here. So I like to call this the madder root two-tone pin curl wrap. Next, with the black walnut, that I loved about the black walnut, that it was already a natural mordant, and you can have different shades of the actual brown color. So with this particular one, I use about 50% of the weight on fabric and 100%. So the 50% gave like this kind of lighter brown color. The 100% gave a darker brown color, and these both are with the wool. But with the cotton, it gave this really light kind of grayish color. So I used the cotton as the base, and I used the 2 wools to wrap it around it to give this two-tone effect. And then I pinned those up in what we like to call petal locks. So right here, you see the black walnut petal locks. So another one that I used was onion skin for this, and onion skins was a pretty good and easy dye recipe to use, and I used both the red and the yellow onions. So here the yarns were submerged in the dye bath. I wrapped them both around the rods. After that, it came out as these curly wigs, so I did another one, what I like to call the red yellow onion skin bob here, which is a little bit longer than the the black bean, sorry. So cultural identity, natural dye crowns serve as a powerful connection to heritage for Black women who experience hair loss. These crowns embodies cultural significance, It reconnect with their roots to foster a sense of pride in their identity, can help women reclaim their beauty and express their authenticity with confidence. So lastly, future direction. So I wanted to expand the outreach to collaborate with community organizations. The goal is to develop workshops that empower participants, ensuring availability of cultural relevancy, sustainable hair solutions. And I thank you.
Fantastic. Amazing project. Oh, I love this so much. Congratulations, Darlene. Crowning glory. I love this project. So hair is so important, and it's so, you know, it's so important to all stages of our lives. It plays a very different role. And the thing about your project, it's the most socially connected out of all of them, actually, isn't it? It's so personal, it's so on the body, it's so about, you know, our experience, our sense of self. And I think as we move forward with all of this work with new materials and biomaterials, we're finding that there's endless ways of developing new materials and playing with them and tweaking them. But actually, when they connect with people and people's needs, they have a real sort of potential to change things. And so these projects, when they do, like yours, make it about the people, it really guides us as designers with what to do with the materials. And I think this is just such a fabulous concept because of that, and all of the different ways that you've experimented. Your presentation, your filmmaking as well, brilliant, just really joyful and very authentic. What I want to say is what struck me is this idea of well-being. And, you know, I've been reading a lot of statistics lately about illnesses and cancer, and of course hair loss and cancer, you know, for women. And then it struck me that, of course, what you're using are actually some of the really important foodstuffs in an anti-cancerous diet as well. So turmeric for its anti-inflammatory properties, beans for its protein, and walnuts as a superfood. And I couldn't think of what it was exactly about onions, but I know onions are on the list. So there's this amazing ability for this project to also be quite focused towards specific needs and like groups. And I'm thinking of women diagnosed with cancer and hair loss, and how these wigs are more fun, more playful, a way to bring people together and connect and support each other joyfully. So yes, about cultural identity, as well as what about, you know, the way in which natural dyes can be part of our sort of well-being diets. I just think you're going to be able to take this on the road now, aren't you, and go and meet loads of different people and do these workshops and keep pushing with those techniques and those different looks and styles, because I'm sure you'll literally have a traveling suitcase of hats, of crowns with you as you go from gig to gig. I love it. I just think it's so original. And again, another Fabricademy project that really is just 100% 10 out of 10. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
Congratulations, Darlene. Let's move to the last presentation with Claire.
Yeah. Is it okay?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, hello, my name is Claire, and today I have a question for you. Have you ever imagined the house of your dreams? For me, my house dream, it's more than just a place. It's a living space where stories are passed down and where everything can be possible. A home that grows and changes with the people who live in, and with objects connected to territory and environment. Home is also for me the place where I can find the managed wool. My family has a farm in the Basque Country in France, where we raise sheep, manage sheep, since 150 years now, for their milk, to produce traditional milk. For the wellness of the sheep, we have to do every year the shearing of the wool. Wool is a really powerful fiber. But since the stop of the textile local industry, the wool became a waste, and the only solution that we have is to burn it. So as a textile designer, I questioned myself, how can I bring back the wool of my family farm? To do that, I had to reproduce all the process of the fiber with contemporary resources.
The wolf and the neck sheep lives with the rhythm of the seasons. In summer, it travels to graze at the mountain peaks. Then, before winter arrives, it returns to the family fold, where it gives birth to lambs by Christmas. Once the milk is harvested to make cheese, the sheep are shorn with the rival offspring. The fiber, once collected, is sorted and sent to a spinning mill, where it is washed and carded. Too wet to be spun into yarn, the stained wool can only be worked as non-woven, like a cloud of raw matter, soft yet resilient. As a textile designer, I just aim through the art of needle felting, and on my fingers it transforms, carrying within it the memory of the flocks, the warmth of the sheepfolds, and the echo of seasons past.
In my textile, I like to play with the light to reveal the long fiber of the wool. I also play with volumes thanks to the felting needle techniques. Years by years, I create my own wool world, where everything can be possible. A place where a sofa can be a bed, where wool can be a blind but also a shelf, where patterns can play with the light and where we can eat with the wool. So step by step, I start to create my own wool place, my own wool house, where a place where everything can be in wool and where we question new narrative about the using of the wool in our home. So the wool house is a living place with different objects made by the same wool, with different techniques to answer to our different needs that we can have in our house. The wool house challenging how we inhabit and furnish our living space, because our resources and needs are changing, so we need to evolve with them. It's essential to rethink our process and integrate some sustainability. This vision guides every pieces that I create. And because today we have electric fridge, but maybe tomorrow it will be only wool fridge. Thank you, and maybe see you in the wool house.
I certainly hope so. What an amazing concept. Oh my goodness. I love in the chat. They said, when can we move in? You get the prize for the most humorous and playful video in images. I love that. I actually wasn't writing notes for the first time because I was just really enjoying the thoughtfulness and the narrative and what you presented to us there. A lot of hard work. So seemingly simple with the elegant and playful film, but actually within that film, so much work, so many products, so much sampling, so much making and experimenting and all of those different applications. I really, really appreciate everything that's gone into that. And it really struck me that, you know, because we've had quite a few world presentations this afternoon, you know, the sector has got significant challenges and they're very real, they're economic, they're functional. And actually the way to really get more people involved is through this kind of work, futuring, visionary, creative. Show us something that doesn't exist, show us something magical and bring people together and along on a new journey. So I think your project has done that. And I was really struck as it started. I thought it was going to be highly, highly, highly practical in a sort of different way. And then actually you took us to this other place and it was just really joyful. And I can see with each of those products, there's a lot of scope. I think the blind works really well. I think the light applications could be one of the first areas to really push a bit further in terms of product refinement. But well done, really brilliant project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Claire, and thanks, of course, Becky, for the invaluable feedback, always to the point and sharp. And with that, we are already quite late. I hope that it was joyful and pleasant for everyone. It was the second day of the final presentations. We started with a bold question of, are we imagining people that are going to leave their screens and start making things in their local Fab Labs? And then we went to looking into how local production in Kenya can allow kids to go to school and bring opportunities. We went to giving memory into biomaterials and to see how we can bring some craftsmanship into making local bio-leathers. And then we combine pattern making, digital pattern making with natural dyes to go into Palestinian heritage and activistic creation, bringing back the culture and bringing history, future, and technology. And then we deep dive into wool and looking into how there is a misconception that the wool is waste and how we have a different perspective of that. To also looking into crowning glories of new hair for personal and self of sense. So I would like to say thank you, everyone. Sleep soft tonight in your woolen dreams.